Hi, everybody. My name is Dennis Morales. This presentation is for my assignment 3 for COM 210. I started thinking about how I was going to do this presentation to show what I think a good presentation may be. But I, I, when I started going through the process, I realized that, wow, slides are the key. You want the audiences to notice everything that you want them to see or hear, and you want to make that picture slide in exclamation. And when I started doing that, I said, okay, I felt lazy about writing the storyboard out. So I figured, you know what, let me work on the computer and I'll just throw pictures in a file. As I started throwing those pictures in the file, I started noticing that the stories I'm trying to tell you actually become speaking out from the slides. Like the slides that I started putting in started telling me how I was going to narrate the presentation for you. All right. So this is one of the things that I did and realized during this scary presentation, because like everybody else, I'm afraid, to talk like this on video. But I guess through practice and practice and practice, I guess you'll get better at it. So anyway, back to my point. What I did was I created a plan. So as I started my plan, I realized, like, what happens if my plan A, doesn't work out. If I go to work and I have a colleague I'm competing against, and we happen to have similar slides, but this is just me. I just like to do that. So I made a plan B, and with that plan B, I knew that in case one thing went wrong in this presentation, I have an out. This is my out, believe it or not. So I started thinking about plan B, and the way I did that was that I started setting up a photo transparency file. This photo transparency file was my file where I'm going to put my story into this file, but without words. No words. Ignore the words. Just look for photos that captivate the eye. And just like your storyboarding, make sure you have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an end. And once I started doing that, I started realizing, like, a bunch of little stories came up to mind, and all of them happened to be probably connected to all this, because they all complement each other in one way or another, I think, but that's just my opinion. So this is one of the stories that came out as I was filling up my folder with files. Okay, it's about bringing out your child creativity, which is a good thing during presentation anyway. You want to think outside the box. So the story that came out was that, remember when we were little kids and your parents just bought you sneakers, and those sneakers that you had a good, but your kids are rocking other new sneakers, and you just want those sneakers. So as kids, we sit down and we think, and we devise a plan on our creative side as kids, and then we try to do logistics on it and try to figure it out. But we pan this all out in our heads as little kids. So we go through our plans A. If our plan A doesn't work, you know what I'm saying? Like this little guy, I doubt his plan A is going to work. And I was right, it didn't work. They go back and they start thinking again, and then they'll come to another plan. They have another plan, and then as you see there, you can do something else. But what comes of all this? What came out of all these slides that in this little short scenario that I just gave you was that they all meet up with success. In the end, you become more successful with doing this. You'll start noticing what your audience really likes, or your clients, or whoever, or even if it's for, you want to make it for a case or whatever it is. This applies to everything. What you want to do with your audience in the slides is you want to raise awareness. You want to, even if it's like the Me Too movement, you need to make sure that you capture the audience, and the audience can look at your photos or your slides and just connect with them. And that's what I did with that little story piece that I did there. But even if you fail, you know, and those steps are okay, because sometimes from those you start learning more techniques and more stuff, and you start realizing things. They're not going to throw you out there to the wolves like that. They're not going to have you there the first couple of months, maybe even years, depending on who you are, and sit you out there. Let's go talk to the board members, and you're going to present this to them. No, they're going to test you on little things, little things that all right, that if you do well, that fine, they'll give you more stuff. And this is what it all leads to. It leads to success. you know. And through all this, I started realizing like, wow, this has become a cycle. You know, you think outside the box. You practice, you set your plans, everything goes, and then this is the actual cycle that I came up with. Okay, I did have a plan A and a plan B, and I practiced both of them. You know, but through them, I realized that each of them had different, so I had to learn more techniques on how to do the slides and what made look um, more nicer to the eye. So with that, I started building more confidence to get more distinct pictures or like blunt pictures, because I knew that if that was the case, I can have my plan B. Well, my plan B can become my plan A, vice versa. But then you see, it goes back to practicing and then going back, learning more techniques. All this builds up your confidence. And through confidence, you build self motivation, which is what you need to challenge yourself. So, and through this cycle, you realize better pictures. They'll start telling their own stories. You know, you'll practice going through them because that's what's going to happen. Then you're going to get this new story that came out, like that little kid story that I remembered. And then you're going to build, learn more techniques. And through those techniques, you build more confidence. You see, everything is great. So the next step is to challenge yourself. You know, that's what you do. Go out there, just challenge yourself. You'll be surprised at what you can do if you think outside the box. Thank you. This is my presentation.